Welcome folks, Paul here. I thought we would start today by making some cheese. Really super melty cheese. We're going to take regular cheese and we're going to make it act like Velveeta or, American cheese. Have that really gooey, melty property. And this is a trick I use for a lot of things that require melting cheese. So let's just get on with it. So this is where I really learned this technique from. If you've never seen the Modernist Cuisine book, it's actually a massive tome of volumes for like $600, but they released this at-home version, which was much more affordable, and I received this as a gift. Before this book came out, they had some recipes up, and one of the things they had was this way to make melty cheese. So let's pop this open. Here is the recipe. I'm not gonna really follow this recipe too tightly. The important thing here is up here where we have, it's basically liquid, cheese, and sodium citrate in a particular set of ratios. And sodium citrate is a salt made from the skin of citric fruit, so it's somewhat related to citric acid, but you can't exchange it, you can't switch it out. It's actually pretty easy to get hold of. Some of your better grocery stores will even have it. So this is it. Kind of looks like salt. It acts a little bit like salt, so it will make your food a little bit salty. So you want to think about that when you're choosing your cheeses. One of my favorite brands of cheeses is Tillamook. And this Tillamook extra sharp cheddar is my go-to for when I'm doing anything like this. And by the way, I use the same basic technique to make queso. You can use a combination of cheeses. I actually like to use extra sharp cheddar and queso quesadilla, but because I'm trying to make like an American cheese, I want a nice yellow with some good sharp flavors, so like extra sharp cheddar. This is the stuff to go for. Tillamook make excellent cheeses. You could get pre-grated cheeses, right? So there's the regular sharp cheddar and then also like a 4 cheese blend. So if I was wanting to make queso real quick, I would probably reach for this guy right here. And you could make a decent batch of queso from just that one bag, a little bit of beer or milk or cream, and some sodium citrate. But I am going to use the block. I prefer to use the block and grate it myself. 450 grams of cheese, 150 grams of liquid, 17 grams of citrate. I often use beer as my liquid for this, but Brett gets really angry when I cook with beer, like really angry. So instead, I'm gonna use half and half. So I have me some half and half. I have me some citrate. And then I thought I might make like a bacon cheese. So I also have a little bit of smoked paprika. Now, when you have bacon flavored chips, often it's really just smoked paprika is providing that bacon flavor. So I'm going to be adding some real bacon in the form of this stuff. So this is bacon I've just fried up, just cooling back down. This is homemade bacon, which I think I have a recipe up for, so you can check that out, but store-bought bacon is fine. And in a pinch, you can even use like pre-made bacon bits. So that's where I'm going. I'm gonna grate the cheese, I'm gonna add the milk, the citrate, the paprika, and the bacon, and then we will set it into a cheese, a delicious melted cheese, and then maybe we'll make some burgers or something like that. Now, I'm not gonna grate the cheese myself like some kind of animal by hand, so I'm gonna use my Wazamawiga, I think it's called, the official term. And that just makes it super easy. Got the grating blade attached, and we simply stick cheese in there. And we have grated cheese. That'll melt down fine. So there's our grated cheese. Can't be easier. If you don't have a machine like this, you can totally grate by hand. All right, let's do this. So we're gonna put some heat on. Not super hot because we have milk and we don't want to scorch it, but we do want it to get hot. Well, it's heating up. I've got this delicious fat that I cooked the bacon in. Don't want to waste that. So again, that'll help with the bacony flavors, and also the extra fat will probably make it a little bit creamier too. So we'll kick that off, get that going, add our milk, And we haven't got a ton of liquid, so it shouldn't take long to heat up. Whisk. I want to just keep it moving. If you have a more delicate pan, you could also use something like this. And then of course we have our sodium citrate, so add that in now. You can see I'm already at a temperature where it's almost boiling, so I'm just going to turn the heat off for now, and I'll turn it back on in a second. Just to make sure we're not going to scorch. So now we're going to add our smoked paprika. No set amount, I'm just going to add a bit. Adding some paprika helps boost the bacony flavor without having to use too much bacon. Speaking of bacon, we'll throw that in now. So that is the bacon I just showed you. I chopped it up pretty finely, like so. And then let's go ahead and add some cheese. I'll add about half of it. When I'm making queso, I add a lot more liquid, which makes it a lot easier to do this step. You can pretty much just add all the cheese at once because you've got the liquid nice and hot and there's a fair bit of it. But here, especially, oh, there's that big piece. So that'll take a while to melt down. So here you can see we've got some pretty good melting happening. You can sort of see around the edges here that it's already nice and creamy where it's fully melted. So we'll go and add the rest of my cheese. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I'm already starting to get a little bit of stuff sticking to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my temperature down a little bit. Because really, I don't need to boil it. I don't need to cook it. I just need it hot enough to melt it. You could probably even do this in a double boiler if you wanted to be really careful. You can see it already sort of has that nice oozy feel to it. You know, I split the middle and it kind of oozes back down. That's really what we're looking for. You can see it's looking nice and creamy and smooth. There's that chunk, it's still not melted down. And so what you're seeing here is what it's going to look like when you put it on a burger or something like that and give it a chance to melt. You're kind of getting a preview of the texture that you'll end up with. Alright, I'm going to turn the heat off. I think it's looking pretty good. It is a fairly uniform consistency. So we've got the temperature off. Next thing, we want to store it. So you're going to put it in the fridge. So you can put it in the fridge in any kind of container you want. But if you use a round container, about the same size as, say, the burgers you want to cook, then you have a really easy way to slice it. These little deli containers like this are dirt cheap on Amazon, super sturdy. They're great in the fridge, great in the freezer. I use them all the time for all sorts of stuff. Back when we were winning awards with our queso ice cream, we would make pints of ice cream in these. Yeah, that's right, I said queso ice cream. Maybe I'll talk to Brett about doing a video on how we make that, because that's pretty dang delicious. So, pretty simple. Just gonna pour it into our cup. Hopefully I managed to do it without spilling. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's already starting to cool a little bit and set up. So it doesn't take long for it to start setting up, which is great. So then we have our cheese. It is melted, it is in the container, it is ready to cool off. You probably want to leave it out on the bench for half an hour or so to cool down and then put it in the fridge. All right, folks, here we have it. Here is our cheese. It's been sitting in the fridge and it appears to have set. So let's go ahead and pull it out. The easiest way to do it is just kind of break the top of the container like that. There we go. You have cheese, delicious, bacony, super melty cheese. Now, I haven't tried this before, but I've been told that dental floss is the best way to slice cheese. So let's try that out. This is homemade cheese, so we can slice it as thick as we want. So that actually worked pretty well. Until the bottom. That didn't turn out too bad, but I think a good sharp knife will work. You can see perfect cheese slices, nice and thick, a little bit uneven, but it's going to melt in my burger anyway. So that's it. Cheese. Delicious, homemade, super melty bacon cheese. Done. See how delicious that's gotten? Look how well the cheese has melted. That's exactly what we're looking for. So pull that off the heat.